As we stand here in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center on Thursday, Ohio State has seen 13 players go into the transfer portal, players of varying status within the program, from guys who were, lower-rated recruits to guys who were the starting quarterback last year, have gone into the transfer portal. And, Stephen, it's created sort of questions. Marvin Harrison Jr. is getting questions today. Hey, look, what's the vibe here? And, what do you make of all these guys going in the portal? Because I think people see that volume of guys going looking for transfers and think there could be something wrong here. What have you've been looking into the numbers and how what is happening at Ohio State kind of relates to, before we maybe answer that greater question, how does it relate numbers-wise to what you're seeing at other programs?
So Ohio State has 13 people. Chip Trainum, the most recent to do so. He did so Wednesday evening, I believe. Days run together at this point when you do this job. So that's 13. I just looked at some other programs who, at least from their viewpoint, feel like they have the same expectations for what Ohio State has going forward, and that's to be in the 12-team playoff. And these are teams who are not in the college football playoff, because you have to remember that. There are 4 teams in the college football playoff, so of course there are a bunch of people who are entering the transfer portal while they're trying to compete for a national championship. Georgia has 8. Alabama still has 2, so I put them on there anyway. USC 10, Oklahoma 10, Clemson 7, Florida State 10, Texas only 4, but still in the college football playoff. Texas A&M has 16, and Florida has 13. This is normal at this point. And Ryan Day even got asked about that when we talked to him on Sunday about the changing landscape of how you have to view the portal, because he said at one point it used to be like, okay, what's going on here? But now it's just a part of the norm of how this works. There's over 3,000 people in the transfer portal right now. So I understand, because we live in this Ohio State bubble, it seems crazy because you're only viewing it through that lens. But if you look at it from a college football lens, this is the norm, where, quite frankly, if you look at that list of 13, the only 2 that I think I look at, I won't speak for you guys, but the only 2 I looked at sideways were Kyle McCord, and it's because he's a starting quarterback, and then a guy like Julian Fleming, where maybe I'd have thought, okay, he's leaving, but it's to go to the NFL, but not to go to his next level. So it's a combination of every school's going through this, but also you have to remember that there's a lot of schools out there who have a lot of scholarship players because of that extra year that the NCAA gave people. So this is just nature correcting itself.
McCord is the one where I think it's a transfer that's happening because of a relationship that had gone wrong. Mm-hmm. Everybody else that's leaving, and I haven't talked to those players individually, but at least just to kind of get to your point, when you projected ahead to 2024, I don't think we thought anybody else who's leaving was due for a big role for certain on that team. You had guys like Jair Brown, Kai Stokes. You thought they'd be in the mix to provide depth or be on the 2 deep, that sort of thing. Chip Trainum did a really good job, but I think we already thought maybe he could be an NFL guy already, and I guess he probably still could be. Just because you're going in the portal doesn't mean you can't end up pursuing NFL stuff too. But so, Andrew, keeping that in mind, because the numbers you read off, Stephen, it's normal, but it's on the high end of normal. You're pushing more towards where Texas A&M is, where people have looked at that as a place that is off kilter, and then that's why all those guys are going in the portal. You're pulling away from the others that are around 8 to 10 towards that Texas A&M level. I don't know that you really want to live there, but at the same time, you're also, it seems to just be another. Every year this happens where the guys who don't see a big playing time in the future look to play somewhere else. There just happen to be more of them this year. It's not necessarily a different kind of transfer that's happening.
Yeah, well, so you got to wait for the COVID guys to kind of wash out of the program, because you can stay for up to 6 years now at a program, and that does mess with the math. I mean, it's a simple math equation, right? Think about it. Ohio State has 85 scholarships that they can hand out to a football team. They have 22 commits in their class right now. And how many transfers do we say they have? 13 right now? Okay, the people watching this, the people listening to this, whatever, do you not want Ohio State to bring in transfers? Because if you don't want Ohio State to bring in if you want to keep the number of transfers down, then you're not bringing anybody. You're not bringing in a quarterback. You're not bringing in another running back. You're not bringing in anybody, because you're gonna run out of math at some point. You're gonna run out of numbers at some point. And I just think it's the normal of college football now, where the same people who are saying, I can't believe we have this many transfers, would be the same people who are saying, I can't believe Ohio State's not trying to upgrade their roster. Why aren't they adding this guy in the portal? Why aren't they going after that guy in the portal? Why aren't they getting this lineman and that lineman and this guy and this guy? So it's just one of those things where it's just the way college football is now. And I understand it is new, and it is kind of frightening to see 13 guys leave Ohio State, and I safely can guess that there will be more over the next couple of weeks and into the spring. I think it's pretty safe to say that there's going to be some more guys that will enter the portal. But that's not necessarily a bad thing because you're bringing in a whole new freshman class. You're going to bring in some portal additions. So it's just one of those things where you got to make the math work. And in order for that to happen, guys have to leave.
That is the big point, that Ohio State needs guys at many positions that they're going to be involved with in the portal. And you're seeing multiple backup offensive linemen leave because they need to be able to go in and bring in offensive linemen that could even go on top of other people. And like you're saying, Andrew, like, this isn't the end of the transfers. There could be more between now and the Cotton Bowl. I think the window will still be open after the Cotton Bowl if guys want to leave, because it's
January 4th.
till through the first of the year, and then another portal opens up, shorter, but another portal opens up right after the spring season ends. So that's when other guys go, because you get through the spring and you find out where you are on the depth chart, and you're like, okay, well, time to go find somewhere else, because it's not going to happen. Like, there's guys who hit their head eventually, and because other guys develop faster and other guys are coming in via transfer, it's just a constant churn, and it's just sort of what the sport is. So I don't think it's a concern, as long as we don't start hearing more stories like what happened with Kyle McCord. And that, I think there's probably some mutual blame that could go on both sides. Ultimately, it was his decision to leave and not stay and compete to continue being the starting quarterback. That's the one where things got a little bit sideways, but it's also a unique position because it's quarterback and what's available for quarterbacks and the pressure that they're under. I think that was just a business decision that happened. A lot of these others are different kinds of business decisions, but I think to a man, they seem to make some sense, what guys are doing. We'll talk more about that on Buckeye Talk from here until the transfer window closes, because we're going to get, like you said, Ohio State's going to get some coming in. So when that happens, get the text 614-350-3315. That's where that news goes first from cleveland.com.